Good evening, Midlands African Chamber. Welcome to another episode, another edition, the Black History Month edition of Power Hour, brought to you by our champion supporter, Wells Fargo Bank. I am your host, Shay Oloolafe, and we're here today to celebrate and to unlock opportunities in business contracting for disadvantaged businesses, for government contractors. This is an episode you do not want to miss. But before we begin, as always, it's time to wind up and find out what's happening in our community in the MAC. So first and foremost, tickets are now available. If you have not and you have not been a part of Pitch Black, this is the year for you to do so. Pitch Black, the tickets are now available in the early bird. So if you sign up now, you can get a discount for the tickets. The Pitch Black will be held on June 29th at the Creighton University Harper Center from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Here you will get to experience what entrepreneurs are like pitching live. Just like Shark Tank, it's all about how fast and how well you can answer questions to investors. And we are giving away $15,000, no strings attached. This is an event you do not want to miss. Next, after that, we also have a Contractors Connect luncheon happening on March 14th, hosted by Turner Construction Company at the Metro Community College, and that is from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And last but not least, MAC has offered once again a MAC Accelerated cohort, and we're excited for another cohort, the third cohort, to join the MAC Accelerated program to be able to grow, scale, and build your businesses. And that's what MAC is all about. So without any further ado, I want to bring onto the stage our guest speakers today. One has been here before, and that's April Hibbler from the SBA. And the second one, and welcome to our Power Hour, Jhmahara Cook from Wage and Hour. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So, without any further ado, let's just jump right into this. I mean, why not, right? So, I do believe Miss Hibbler, you are first up with SBA.
Okay. Next slide, please. Thank you. So today we'll be talking about empowering Black entrepreneurs since we're in Black History Month and looking at the SBA programs and government contracting certification opportunities that can help empower entrepreneurs in this area. So I want to kind of go over the mission of Black History Month in terms of SBA. So as we know, the American business landscape as we know it owes its existence to the profound contributions of Black entrepreneurs. For over 2 centuries, Black-owned businesses have enacted a legacy of entrepreneurial excellence marked by resilience and ingenuity. Presently, an estimated approximately 162,000 Black businesses collectively contribute approximately $183 billion in annual sales. Yeah. Despite these significant contributions, there remains untapped potential for further growth. So, as February unfolds as Black History Month, the SBA pays tribute to Black entrepreneurs nationwide, particularly those who have pioneered Black-owned businesses. In doing so, we recognize the imperative for a business environment that is truly representative. The resources that I'll be talking about today, is a testament to our commitment to supporting Black entrepreneurs in their aspirations to initiate, nurture, and expand their enterprises. So next slide, please.
And that is all what MAC is about. Let's go.
So we understand that entrepreneurs embarking on the journey of small business ownership, particularly entrepreneurs from underserved and underrepresented communities, it could be a challenge. So SBA resource partners are committed to easing this process through the 3 C's that I'll go over today: counseling, capital, and contracts. Next slide, please. So when looking at counseling, we have a number of resources here. We have our small business development centers with over 900 small business development centers across the U.S. We have expert advisors that provide you no cost or low cost training and counseling, aiding in tasks such as writing business plans and securing funding. We strongly urge you to take advantage of this service. Then we have our SCORE mentors. They tailor assistance to your busy schedules. And these are experienced business mentors that have real world knowledge that they also offer trainings, workshops, and webinars. Then we have our veteran business outreach centers. They offer training, counseling, referrals, and procurement guidance to military community. There's about approximately 28 VBOCs nationwide. There is a VBOC center right here in Nebraska for those entrepreneurs here. Then we have our Women Business Center. We have approximately 130 women's business centers nationwide. These centers assist women entrepreneurs in leveling the playing field through training and counseling. So in Nebraska, we have the Grow Nebraska Women's Business Center. And then we also have the Center for Rural Affairs. Grow Nebraska Women's Business Center is here in Omaha. And the Center for Rural Affairs, I believe, is in Grand Island. So, and then some other interesting programs the SBA offers is the Community Navigators Program. This program is designed to reduce barriers faced by underrepresented and underserved communities. Community Navigators facilitate access to business training, counseling, funding, and more. Then there's, last but not least, the Thrive Emerging Leaders Program. It's an intensive executive level series intended to accelerate the growth of high potential small businesses in America. So the program provides customized training to C-level executives with demonstrated business sustainability. And what I want to point out here, how this is contributing to Black entrepreneur success, is that many of these resource centers are located in historically Black colleges and universities around America. So you can go to, and they provide counseling and training to business owners at all stages. So check out the HBCU in your, city, state. They may have these resources housed there.
But if we don't have one, there's still availability in a state like Nebraska.
Yes. So Nebraska, so the Small Business Development Center in our state is Nebraska Business Development Center.
Okay.
And yes. And then we, like I mentioned, we have the SCORE mentors. You can contact the SBA office, the district office, and get connected to a SCORE mentor.
So not only are these available at the historically Black colleges, which great, right? But then if you're in an area that doesn't necessarily have a historically Black college or university, you still have the availability. So there's no excuse.
There's no excuse. All of these resources. Now, I will, to be clear, the first four here, this Small Business Development Center, which is here, our Nebraska Business Development Center, and then there's SCORE, and then you have the VBOC Center that's here in Nebraska, which covers Nebraska and Iowa, and then the Women's Business Center. However, the Community Navigator and the Thrive programs, they're not in every state.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah. So, but what could happen is if the, community organizations like Urban League, Midlands African Chamber feel that their members could benefit from Community Navigator or these programs, you can advocate with the SBA district office to ask, can there be some type of partnership? So there could be, you can
bring it here. We can bring it here.
Absolutely.
All right. I feel MAC might have another opportunity on its hands.
Yes, the Urban League partners a lot with SBA offices through the Community Navigator program in other states. So, historically challenging access to capital and cash flow for Black entrepreneurs, as we know, it has been a pervasive issue. Yes. So this underscores the necessity of SBA funding programs. The SBA understands that access to capital and cash flow can be a hurdle for entrepreneurs. So to make it easy for individuals who may not qualify for traditional financing, the SBA reduces lender risk through its loan programs that you see here. We have the SBA guaranteed loans carry competitive terms and other unique benefits such as lower down payments. And then we have the lender match tool, which can help you find funding in your area. And then if you're looking for an investor, the SBA can show you how to find one through our small business investment company. Okay. Yep, sorry. So as I mentioned here, if we could just go back real quickly. I'm sorry. No. I'm trying to, I just wanted to kind of mention something about these programs like the our SBA guaranteed loans. It mitigates lender risk. The SBA loan program, this SBA loan program is a 7A 504 microloans cater to individuals who may not qualify for traditional financing, as we said here. And then the lender match, we simplify the search for funding by trying to match you with, I just wanted to emphasize these a little bit. So, and as I mentioned with the small business investment company, they guide you to help you find someone to match, an investor to match with you. So next slide. I'm sorry.
So just so we have it clear, there's a guaranteed loans that take away the lender risk.
Yes, SBA can through some of its programming, they can help mitigate or guarantee the loan up to 90%.
Okay. And then the second option is by finding the right lender for whatever financing or capital that is needed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then last but not least, you also have the opportunity to connect with investors, or are not necessarily lenders. They're investing in the company without having to actually take a lending opportunity on that.
Yes.
And those are three ways that SBA helps out in giving somebody or helping somebody acquire capital.
Yes, and keep in mind the 7A and 504 loans are facilitated through our preferred lending partners, which most banks, including Wells Fargo, the one you mentioned, is one of our preferred lending partners. Now, do contact us to schedule an appointment with one of our lender relations specialists, because they can basically help you understand based on your lending needs which bank probably can help you more than others, because some banks are just more educated on our programs than others, and if you're more educated, you can help the public better. So we want to make sure that we're connecting you with those lenders who really understand. And the micro loan programs, that's through organizations such as the Nebraska Enterprise Fund. That's our micro lender partner.
Yep.
And so contact us and we'll get you connected.
Perfect.
Yes. So next slide, please. Thank you. So this goes a little bit into what I'll be talking about today, the contracts. But I want to emphasize these three programs first before I go deeper into everything. So the federal government is committed to allocating a significant portion of its contracting dollars to small businesses, particularly those designated as socially and economically disadvantaged businesses. So I want to highlight, these are not all of our programs, but I want to highlight programs such as the 8A Business Development Program, the Hub Zone, and our Mentor Protege program aims to enhance opportunities for socially and economically disadvantaged businesses or businesses located in economically disadvantaged areas. So the 8A program is crafted to support socially and economically disadvantaged businesses. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more down in the presentation, so I don't need to go into it too much here, but these are three programs that really support specifically socially and economically disadvantaged businesses or those located in those areas and socially and economically disadvantaged areas through the Hub Zone program.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So next slide, please. So the United States federal government stands as the world's largest purchaser of goods and services, with estimated annual purchases ranging from 650 to 700 billion annually. The overarching goal for federal prime contract awards to small businesses is set at 23% distributed across various federal agencies. The Small Business Administration annually establishes and monitors government-wide goals for small business participation, ensuring agencies report achievements relative to the goals. So as you can see, for the small disadvantaged businesses, we have a goal of 13%. Women-owned 5%, hubs-owned 3%, and service-disabled 5%. Now, keep in mind that those percentages is what, like, if there's $700 billion being spent, they want this percent to be these percentages to be spent with these categories. And that small disadvantaged business is also where our 8A program lies. So they want the small disadvantaged to have increased that number by 2025 to 15%. So entities that seek to do business with the government must complete an entity registration at sam.gov. Small businesses can enhance visibility by providing information on this small business dynamic small business search page website, allowing procurement teams to search for businesses based on diverse criteria. Next slide. So we're going to go into here looking specifically at issues that are faced by Black entrepreneurs in contracting. Okay, so we understand that we just want to point out some key insights. So we understand that number one, there's a high failure rate of Black-owned businesses. That's a challenge, right? And
It is.
yeah, approximately 8 out of 10 Black-owned businesses face closure within the initial 18 months of operation. Now, this is primarily attributed to a lack of funding, hindering profitability.
So capital.
Yep. Okay. So government. So why I'm here today is because government contracting we have seen could be a possible solution. Government contract serves as a strategic solution, offering entrepreneurs the opportunity to secure mid to long-term agreements, ensuring a steady and guaranteed cash flow. Mm-hmm. So, and the significance of government contracting, the United States government, like I just said, allocates a substantial $700 billion towards goods and services. And they're the largest purchaser of goods and services in the world. And the current administration, President Biden and Vice President Harris, actively promotes opportunities for small and underserved businesses, targeting a 13% utilization. And like I just mentioned before, they want to reach 15% by 2025. Now, let's be very clear here. There is challenges in this space. Last year, 1% of the $700 billion went to Black entrepreneurs.
So the goal is to get up to 15%.
Mm-hmm.
But last year, you only had 1%.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a 14%. And I don't really do math because I'm not my strong suit, but I mean, even 1% of $700 billion sounds like a lot of money to me.
Yeah. But we want it to be much better.
So there's opportunity to get more money.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, I just want to make sure I was hearing you correctly on you only had 1%, but the goal is 15%, which means there's 14% that the goal is to push that to disadvantaged Black entrepreneurs.
Well, yeah. So the goal is for all socially and economically disadvantaged businesses, which at this point, if you can prove you're socially disadvantaged, you're therefore socially disadvantaged. And if you can prove economic disadvantage,
I can prove.
Yeah, well, we put in the narrative,
yes,
which we'll talk about. But we understand. We must acknowledge that is not a good. We're not accomplishing the goal, but we want to be proactive. But I don't want to not acknowledge that is not good. The 1% for Black entrepreneurs, that's going to entrepreneurs because we're not closing that equity gap. But we are trying to put some intentional methods in place to make sure we are helping Black entrepreneurs tap in better. So looking at the barriers and disparities, past performance emerges as a critical factor influencing access to contracts with Black-owned businesses and countering entry barriers. So initiatives such as SBA's Empowered to Grow training programs aims to address these disparities and provide essential support. So this is another program. So we must also look at some of the challenges just so people can get ahead of things. So legal challenges to workforce goals and federal construction contracts may impact the qualifications of underrepresented groups for lucrative jobs in 2024. Diversity within government contract remains a pressing challenge, with less than 10% allocated to small disadvantaged businesses and less than 5% to women-owned small businesses. And there are legal attacks against supplier diversity. So it behooves people, small businesses, particularly African-American owned small businesses, to stay abreast of these things so you can pivot your business.
Okay.
So, next slide, please. So with these are our certification, SBA certifications, the Hub Zone, veteran-owned, woman-owned, and 8A. All of these certifications, you must come through the SBA to get certified. We are working on a unified certification system to make all of these certifications this process very easy. But for now, these all have their own individual certification portals. And it usually takes about 60 to 90 days for the certification to come out. You can self-certify as a small business in SAM.gov. Okay, so established under Section 8 of the Small Business Act, the 8A Business Development Program supports eligible small disadvantaged businesses aiming to award at least 13% of federal contracting dollars to qualified firms annually. So these are the criteria to be in the 8A program. You need to be designated as a small business. I have a whole presentation that I do on that. The Intro to Government Contracting presentation goes over more in depth of what makes you small, and then you could not have previously participated in the program, be 51% owned and controlled by a U.S. citizen who is socially and economically disadvantaged. You prove social disadvantage. You prove social disadvantage by submitting your narrative of social disadvantage, and then, you will be determined. The SBA will determine that you're socially disadvantaged based on the criteria that you outline, and to prove your social disadvantage. And here is the next point: is what will make you economically prove economic disadvantage. You have a personal net worth of $850,000 or less, adjusted gross income of $400,000 or less, and assets totaling $6.5 million or less. You demonstrate good character.
What do you mean demonstrate good character?
Well, if you have a criminal past, or if you have you've had some type of issue, we would just recommend you must disclose that to show, and let us look at things by case basis. But obviously somebody who doesn't have a criminal background or an issue with bad conduct in terms of embezzlement and
theft, lying, stealing, cheating.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And if you have had that issue, just disclose it. Yes. And demonstrate the potential for success, such as having been in business for 2 years and earned some revenue. Now, if you haven't been in business for 2 years, 1 year, and you've earned significant revenue, you can still apply and they probably will. The evaluator would possibly offer you a waiver due to that. Mm-hmm.
And there's a difference between revenue and profit.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to show that you have revenue, not necessarily that you've been profitable.
Yes.
I just want to make the distinction, because sometimes people are like, hey, I got a business, but then you get down to numbers and I haven't made any money. versus this is just showing that you actually brought in money.
Yes, I mean, but I do believe that they are gonna
Also look at whether you're profitable.
Look at the whole picture, but yes, they want to see that you have a business where you're actually selling a product or service and generating sales revenue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So thank you. So the government aims to award at least 5% of federal contracting dollars to women-owned small businesses yearly. The Women-Owned Small Business Program supports women entrepreneurs in gaining capacity and growth. So again, next month, I'll be doing a presentation on just this program, the women, because next month is Women Business Month, March. So you can tune in for where I'll go into much more depth. But one thing I do want to highlight, to get this certification, you have to, your NAICS code, which is just a 6-digit code that that signifies the industry where you make the most revenue. That code needs to be one of the 700 plus codes, NAICS codes for the Women-Owned Business Program, because they want to make sure that your NAICS codes falls into, is one of the, I'm sorry, I'm getting mixed up here. They want to make sure that as a woman-owned business, that your NAICS code is a part of the 700, I think it's about 759 NAICS codes. That you are substantially underrepresented, because those NAICS codes were picked because women are underrepresented in those NAICS codes. So that's why your NAICS code needs to be one of those NAICS codes. So that's one of the first and foremost things, to make sure your NAICS code falls into those 759 approximately. And to be eligible, you need to be small, be at least 51% owned and controlled by a woman who is a U.S. citizen, and have women manage the day-to-day operations and make the long-term decisions. I can't emphasize that enough, because so many women, we find they're may not really be running their business. Their husband could be the face of, they're the face, but a man, their husband is really kind of the business owner. I mean, behind the scenes, but he just has her as a figurehead. So they want to show that you're really running the business and the day-to-day operations, and you're not just a figurehead. So, and it's 51% owned. And those, to be economically disadvantaged, woman-owned small business is the same criteria that it is for economic disadvantage with the 8A program. So I don't need to go through that again. Okay. So next slide, please. So the government aims to award at least 3% of federal contracting dollars to HUBZone certified small businesses annually. HUBZone businesses are located in qualified low-income rural or urban communities. So again, be 51% owned and controlled by a U.S. citizen or community development corporation, agricultural cooperative, Alaska Native corporation, and a Native Hawaiian organization or an Indian tribe. And your principal place of business is located in a HUBZone, and 35% of your employees live in a HUBZone. They don't have to live in the same HUBZone as the business, but they need to live in a HUBZone, 35%. Yes.
So hypothetically speaking, if I had a business in a HUBZone, but I don't live in the HUBZone, but the business only has one person, that wouldn't qualify, would it?
Probably not.
just throwing it out there, because the HUBZones are both rural and also urban. So, for instance, in the state of Nebraska, we have a lot of HUBZones in some of our more rural areas.
Yes.
But for somebody like me who doesn't want to live out in the sticks, you would have to hire some people to be able to then qualify.
Well, yeah, I mean, because the point of the program is similar to the 504 loan program, where it's more focused on economic development for those areas. So that's why they want to make sure, because it's helping the area come out of economic distress, as well as increasing, employing people to help with decrease unemployment. So that's why it's more of an economic development approach. But here, of course, the North and South Omaha communities, many of those are our urban communities that a lot of those areas fall within the HUBZone.
I mean, the solution also is if you want to do in the rural area and you only have yourself, you just hire one other person, then you got 50%. I mean, but I digress. But the hub zones are a good opportunity to get in where you don't have to necessarily, it's just based on geographic location.
Yeah. And, it's, you have a business and you're employing the people in that community. That's, to me, it's the idea.
Yeah.
Your business is in that community, is generating economic development for that community, and you're employing the people that live in that same community. Thereby helping raise the community via economic development. I think that's kind of the purpose of the hub zone, the idea of the hub zone program. And you're getting contracts, and therefore you can, the more contractor work you're doing, the more staff you can gain, because you can hire more people to do more contracts,
Exactly. In that community.
Mm-hmm. So the government aims to award, at this point, this has increased, which is good, at least 5% of federal contracting dollars to veteran-owned small businesses each year. It was 3% last year, so it increased to 5% this year.
There we go.
So veteran-owned small businesses needs to be 51% owned and operated by veterans. And if your service is able veteran, it needs to be operated, owned and operated by a veteran with a VA approved service-connected disability. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So, as you plan your strategy for securing federal contracts, it's critical that you conduct market research to identify agencies in need of your products or services. Customize your marketing approach to target specific agencies, considering their unique needs and requirements. So, like I said in my intro to government contracting presentations, which I have almost every other month, I go over this in much more depth. But you do need to, before getting into government contracting, we recommend you do your market research to make sure you have a customer. You need to, just don't go get certified and then it's like, oh, nobody's buying what I'm selling. You have to come in, haven't done your research, knowing that you've identified 2 to 3 agencies that buy what you sell at the frequency that you need it in the type of contract that you want to sell it. Do they do micro purchases? Do they do fixed price contracts? I mean, do your research. That should be a part of your business plan anyway, as you come in. So, I
mean, April, I think you hit it on the head for Power Hour, Black History Month. It's about knowledge. It's about doing your due diligence, and you couldn't say it even better, because at the end of the day, you can't just start a business and say, hey, everyone's going to buy whatever you're selling. You got to know what people want, or better yet, know what the need is and have a solution for that need.
Absolutely. Because I do want to emphasize, because I want to make sure I give Ms. Cook time here, but I want to emphasize that's, in my personal experience, that's dealing with small business owners. That's one thing that I've noticed probably has some issue, caused them to not get contracts as quick as they like. It's because that market research was not done on the front end. That's a real barrier that I'm seeing. They'll say, oh, somebody probably told them, oh, if you go get the 8A certification, you're going to get contracts. And they say, okay, well, I'll go get that. And that's not the way it works. You need to be business ready and procurement ready, and know that you have a customer. So we want to make sure that market research is done on the front end, and people are coming into this process well-informed, well-financed to get your equipment, to get your staff, etc. So,
and I'm gonna throw this one out there as well, because I'm pretty sure that every government agency and what they buy is public information.
Oh, absolutely. That's right. Yeah. So that's all this market research. There's 3. There's usaspending.gov, which tells you the past, what they've purchased in the past. sam.gov tells you current procurement, what they're needing now. Acquisitions.gov tells you what their future forecast is. So hitting those 3 sites, once you identify your NAICS code, go to those 3 sites and see, I wonder which agencies are buying what I'm selling. You can find it. And then, which, as I'll go further, which I'll talk about briefly, Apex Accelerators is there, a free service to you that will literally sit with you. A consultant can be assigned to you to help you they can help you generate a market research report.
Oh, okay. So what you're telling me is there's no excuse
At all.
Okay.
Yes.
No
Yeah.
excuse.
Yeah. So they need to be honest about looking at what kind of contract can they handle. Can you promise, if you're new to this, we certainly recommend you come in as a subcontractor. Don't go and try to, so you can learn, yet get some solid past performance.
Okay.
Connect and get mentors, team with other companies. Also look at how far you can travel to make a profit. We recommend you be able to travel at least 500 miles so you can, because the government buys products and services all over the world from, they have business all over the world. So if you're just here, you're kind of limiting yourself, but but if you are, but that's a whole nother thing. I'm not going to get too deep into that because I go into that in my intro to government contract and presentation more in depth. But, we do recommend you be able to travel 500 miles if you can. If not, robustly focus on building procurement relationships within the state and having some consistent customers. What sets you apart from your competition? You need to know that your competition in this space of federal contracting, not general. And you need to prepare a quality capability statement because when you're meeting a procurement officer, that's what you're presenting them with. So the next slide. And that's my contact information. And Lisa, these are the two people in the Nebraska office, myself and Lisa Tedesco, that helps with that works in government contracting. You are free to contact us. But you go to the next slide really quickly. So this is the Apex Accelerator contacts here. I want to conclude by saying government contracting presents both promising opportunities and challenges for Black entrepreneurs. While contracts offer stability and long-term prospects, it's crucial to navigate the complexities and disparities. The SBA and Apex Accelerator resources partners are committed to guiding entrepreneurs through the government contracting process. So we are here to ensure equitable access for all. So as I stated before, please feel free to reach out to our office. Given the abundance, which I'm going to leave to Ms. Cook, given the federal, state, and local contractors, particularly in construction, Ms. Cook will provide insights on navigating the Davis-Bacon Act.
Yes, thank you, April, for that introduction. But before I start, I have to note that today's presentation is intended as general information only, and it does not carry the force of legal opinion. Our main source, if you can go to the next slide, please, is the Federal Register and the Code of Federal Regulations. So the U.S. Department of Labor Wage and Hour Division is responsible for enforcing very comprehensive labor laws. Our mission at the Wage and Hour Division is to promote and achieve compliance with labor standards to protect and enhance the welfare of the nation's workforce. So in keeping with today's topic on government contracting, or just the basis of it, I want to briefly talk about the Davis-Bacon Act, which is our main government contract act. And then later, I am going to share some tips on how to comply with the Davis-Bacon Act. I believe that this information is of value as it will help you to be better informed and provide you with the resources that a federal contractor needs to be in compliance. So if you can go to the next slide, please. But before I give you the tips, I want to give you a little bit of history on the Davis-Bacon. So the Davis-Bacon Act was enacted in 1931 to protect communities and workers from the economic disruption caused by contractors who were obtaining construction contracts by underbidding the local prevailing wages. The Davis-Bacon was the first federal law to provide minimum wage standards for non-government workers. After it was originally enacted, the Davis-Bacon was supplemented in 1934 by the Copeland Act, which added a statutory requirement that contractors submit certified payrolls, and it made it a federal felony if the workers were required to provide a kickback on any portion of their wages due them on such projects. So years later, 1962, Congress then passed as an amendment a requirement of the overtime payment of additional halftime for hours worked over 40 in a work week by laborers, mechanics, and this also included watch persons and guards. This would be any work that was done on federal contracts or federally assisted contracts. So at first, the Davis-Bacon did not address the issue of fringe benefits. So in 1964, Congress then expanded the act to require the department to include in their analysis the fringe benefit as part of the wage determination process. This amendment will requires contractors and subcontractors to provide fringe benefits such as vacation pay, sick leave, health insurance, and retirement benefits, or the cash equivalent of such payments. If you can go to the next slide, please. Now I'm going to talk about the applicability of the Davis-Bacon Act. If you can go to the next slide, please. So the Davis-Bacon Act applies to each federal government or District of Columbia contract that is in excess of $2,000 for the construction, alteration, or repair. And this also includes painting and decorating of public buildings or public works. Next slide, please. So the Davis-Bacon coverage also extends to numerous related acts that provide federal assistance by way of grants, loans, loan guarantees, and insurance. Some examples of the related acts include the Federal Aid Highway Acts, the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974, and the Federal Water Pollution Control Act. Next slide, please. Okay, so now if you can go to the next slide. Now, if you are thinking about becoming a contractor, or if you are currently a contractor who is providing services to the federal government, I would like to share with you 5 essential tips that will help you navigate compliance with the Davis-Bacon Act. Next slide, please. So the first tip I want to cover is to ensure that your workers are properly classified for the scope of work that they are performing per the contract. Every contract has to have a wage determination, and this is a document that contains a set of wages, the fringe benefits, and the work rules that the Department of Labor has ruled to be prevailing for a given labor category or in a given locality. What you want to do is you want to avoid the overuse of laborer classification. So let me give you an example. If you're contracted with the federal government to do carpentry, and you are classifying almost all of your workforce as laborers, that's an immediate red flag. Because in essence, what is happening is that these carpenters are not receiving the prevailing wage that is stipulated in the wage determination. So you can have laborers, but you have to be careful in the way that you are classifying the workers. Now, the wage and hour division defines laborers as workers whose duties are manual and they're physical in nature. And this can include apprentices, trainees, and helpers. Next slide, please. So the second tip I want to share with you is the payment of prevailing wages. So contractors have to pay laborers and mechanics that are working on a site of work at least the locally prevailing wages, including the fringe benefits. So with the Davis-Bacon, the prevailing wage is a combination of the basic hourly rate and the fringe benefits that is listed in the Davis-Bacon wage determination. Now, the prevailing wages, including the fringe benefits, have to be paid for all the hours that are worked on the work site. Next slide, please. The third tip I want to share with you is the record keeping requirement. Uh, Make sure that you keep and maintain accurate records of employment. So contractors have to maintain workers' last known phone numbers, including the email addresses, as part of their required records. All records have to be kept maintained for at least 3 years after the work on the prime contract has been completed. This requirement is applicable even if the subcontract ends up finishing the subcontract work prior to the completion of the prime contract. Then also contractors have to ensure that they are posting the applicable Davis-Bacon wage determination and the Davis-Bacon poster on the work site in a prominent, accessible place where it can be easily seen by the workers. Next slide, please. The fourth tip I want to share with you is follow the requirements of the apprenticeship programs. So, bona fide apprentices are persons who are individually registered in a bona fide apprenticeship program that is registered with the Department of Labor's Employment, Training, Administration Office of Apprenticeship, or the state apprenticeship agency that is recognized by the Office of Apprenticeship. This could include apprenticeship could include individuals that are working in their first 90 days of probationary employment in such program. The apprentices may be paid less than the rates that are listed in the applicable wage determination, only again if these individuals are registered in an apprenticeship program that is approved by the Department of Labor, and or I should say with the state apprenticeship agency. And the other thing too is you want to ensure that apprentices are employed within the allowable ratio in that is specified in the approved program for the number of apprentices or trainees to journeymen. Um, you want to make sure that you don't have an overage of apprentices in comparison to journeymen, because again, this will create a red flag. Next slide, please. And the last and final tip that I want to share with you is follow the certified payroll requirements accordingly. So the Davis-Bacon contract clauses contains two separate requirements that relate to the submittal of the certified payrolls. The first requirement is that contractors are required to pay covered workers on a weekly basis, and they have to submit weekly certified payroll records to the contracting agency. The second requirement is that contractors have to sign with a handwritten signature or a legally valid electronic signature. Um, they have to sign the certified payrolls in that either of those two ways. Okay, if you can go to the next slide. Okay, so now that you're a little bit more familiar with the Davis-Bacon, I would like to take another quick moment to share some resources with you. If you can go to the next slide, please. So as you can see here on this slide, there's these internet sites that are listed. They provide you with direct access to the information and the key documents that are relevant to the Davis-Bacon Act, and also other labor standard uh, laws that are administered and enforced by the Wage and Hour Division. There's also SAM.gov that Ms. Hibbler had also mentioned earlier, which provides access to the wage determinations, the regulations, all agency memorandums, and other relevant information at one address. There's also the DOL, the Department of Labor Prevailing Wage Resource Book, which provides a wealth of additional guidance, and it's clearly stated information in a readable and user-friendly format. The information in the resource book, it builds on presentations that are given at conferences, and it also expands on the information that is presented at such conferences. The next slide, please. Okay, so lastly, what I would like to do, if I have time here, I do want to share two websites with you. These are websites to our pre-recorded wage seminars and information on upcoming prevailing wage seminars that are presented by the Department of Labor Wage and Hour Division. Is that a possibility that I'm able to do, Shay, right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's. I don't think there's a. I don't have a hyperlink. Hold on.
I could just drop it in the chat.
Yep. Let's drop it in the chat. That
Okay.
works.
Okay. So the first one that I've dropped in the chat. These are. This is the link to the website with the pre-recorded wage seminars. If anything, if you just want to join in, or I should say load it, and just kind of get a sense for what is required for these types of federal funded contracts, it could just give you a little insight into it. And then the second one that I've dropped in the chat is an event that or actually a couple of events that are going to be on the prevailing wage, and they're going to be presented throughout the year. So you are required to register for these events. However, I do want to note that all of the resources that we have are free of cost. Next slide, please. Okay, and I welcome you to connect with us through our various online platforms. If there's something that you see that is beneficial to you, please repost it. We greatly appreciate it. And I just want to ensure that you understand that what we're trying to do is we're trying to provide you with the resources so that you can make better informed decisions on how to proceed, whether or not this is something that you might be interested in. And finally, I just want to conclude by expressing my gratitude for allowing me to join in and to speak a little bit on the Davis-Bacon Act. And thank you for your time and your attention today.
Thank you so very much for presenting. This is some powerful information. The links are available if you are a government contractor. I was going to ask the question, you hit it on the head, like, with the prevailing wage, like where do I find it? Where do I go to get this determination? And it's at sams.gov, and it's also a lot of different. I'm going to come back to this slide, particularly because knowledge is the key to our growth and our success. And what both of you have presented here today is the foundation for how we get there. And if you're not tapped in, and we're not talking information that's not available and not my favorite word, free, right? This is information that is free, that you shouldn't be missing out. And if you're missing out, it's because you're making excuses for where you are versus where you should be. We're in 2024. There's no longer any time to make excuses. now is the time to act and to do what you need to do to grow and scale your businesses. So without any further ado, April, I want to give you the final thoughts on Black History Month Power Hour. Any final thoughts?
Oh gosh. I just want to say that to please take advantage of the resources that has been presented here today. Definitely the resources through SBA and our resource partners. These capital counseling contract, these resources are there to help close the equity gap, the economic disparities that we are facing. So, and also, please let us know how we can better serve you. Call our office and let us know, we feel like maybe more outreach. We feel like we need more representation, or we don't feel, just whatever. We want that feedback because that helps us to better serve you. But know that there are resources across, not just with the SBA, but across government agencies that are there to support you in your growth economically, even the Department of Labor and Housing, Agriculture, Department of Ag. I mean, there's so many programs, and we understand that historically, sometimes I don't want to go too far, but the government, we understand that there, with the Black community, there could be mistrust due to some actions that took place with government in the past. But what I will say is that there is a lot of programs now where many government agencies are trying to correct those issues that took place in the past, and they're trying to rebuild trust through more equity programming. And I believe the programs are there. As long as I would just state that, just reach out to your offices and ask for your district offices and ask for more outreach in your communities to ensure that you're being educated about what is available to your communities.
And Ms. Cook, any final thoughts for our audience of Power Hour?
I just want to second what Ms. Hibbler said. Yes, it's very cliche to say, but knowledge is power. So take advantage of these resources that are being offered. We're trying to bridge the gap, to bring everyone to the table, and there is opportunity there. And as you had mentioned before, Shay, that we need to take advantage of these resources. We're we're just basically and practically just giving them I mean, they are for free, but we're basically begging people to ensure that you exercise your right to that information. So take advantage. That's what I would I would echo 100%.
And I thank you both for coming on and imparting this knowledge onto us, because we don't know what you don't know, and until you grasp and reach out and get the knowledge and the know-how, then you can start building that foundation for not just yourself but generationally. And that's what we're here at the Midlands African Chamber are aspiring to do, is to grow and scale businesses in our communities to have a lasting impact by connecting, empowering, and championing. And so without any further ado, I thank you both for joining me tonight on our Power Hour celebrating Black History Month. And until next time, come join our tribe. This is the Midlands African Chamber. Thank you.